The book of many things, with a few player options. Clerics, druids, and other classes can now cast spells like Force Gauge, Wall of Force, and even Wish. We're gonna talk about that later. Welcome to Pack Tactics. I've actually drawn from the deck of many things many times. And from the most recent one, I got a purple Kobold Knight named Spyro. It's an Eldritch Knight, by the way. We're gonna talk about spells first. Spray of Cards, 2nd level conjuration spell, available for bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. You spray a 15-foot cone of spectral cards. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 2d10 force damage and has the blinded condition until the end of its next turn. On a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage only. This is an action cast, by the way. When you upcast it, it does 1d10 extra damage. This will likely only affect 1 or 2 people. It's just a worse version of Rhyme's Binding Ice, with worse range, worse damage, and worse effects. This does less damage than Burning Hands. Sure, it has a Rider effect, but the Rider sucks. It doesn't even last a round. Next up, Antagonize, a 3rd level enchantment spell available for bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. It's an action cast and has a range of 30 feet. You whisper magical words to antagonize one creature of your choice within range. The target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 44 psychic damage and must immediately use its reaction to make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see. If the target can't make this attack, the target instead has disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage only. Upcast, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, the damage increases by 1d4 for each slot level above 3rd. Very, very bad. And I'll show you why. If we assume enemies have a 60% chance to fail against the DC of our spells, this will of course wax and wane. And if we compare it to single target fireball at the same level, we can immediately see it falls short. Here's some math. So to catch up in damage to a single target fireball, an enemy with a 65% chance to hit, which is really generous by the way, would need to do around 37 damage on one melee attack on average, accounting for crits. But Kobold, I'm not casting this for damage. I'm casting this to remove the enemy's reaction. Well then, cast Dissonant Whispers or Tasha's Mind Whip. They're both fantastic spells. If you upcast Mind Whip to 3rd level, you can affect more people. And it's an intelligence saving throw. If we compare it to Dissonant Whispers at the same level, and assume one person takes an opportunity attack against the target, and also has a 65% chance to hit, your ally doesn't even need to hit their opportunity attack for Dissonant Whispers to be better, until the target can do an average of like 20 damage on an attack. If the enemy does 40, your ally needs to do about 20 on a hit. This 3rd level spell is garbage. Next up, Spear of Death, a 4th level necromancy spell available for sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. It has a range of 60 feet, it lasts an hour while you concentrate, and it has a component cost. You call forth a spear that embodies death. The spirit manifests in an unoccupied space you can see within range and uses the Reaper's Spirit stat block. The spirit disappears when it is reduced to 0 HP or when the spell ends. The spirit is an ally to you and your companions. In combat, the spirit shares your initiative count and takes its turn immediately after yours. It obeys your verbal commands, no action required by you. If you don't issue the spirit any command, it takes a dodge action and uses its movement to avoid danger. Upcast, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 5th level or higher, use the higher level wherever the spell's level appears in the Reaper Spirit stat block. Here is the stat block. First of all, it's kind of weird that it's not a bard option too. Like, literally College of Spirits bard exists. I guess everybody forgot about it. Anyways, they nerfed the damage and they removed its sphere effect. I would only pick this as a scout that can go through walls. But then again, how useful is that? This spell is expensive to cast, it's got expensive components, and it sucks. By the way, thank God Summon Warrior Spirit didn't make it in the game. If it did, I would make fun of marshals and say that Conjure Marshal literally exists in the game. Anyways, this video is sponsored by World Anvil, where you can create your own world with easy to use tools. This will keep all your notes, lore, stories, maps, NPCs, character sheets, and much more all super organized. And when things are organized for you, it's easy to find the things you need to work on or talk about in your D&D games. Not only that, it's a good stepping stone into creative thinking. There's already boxes here by default for you to fill in. And if you manage to fill in everything, then you're already heading towards the right direction. And it will naturally snowball into more ideas. You can also create worlds with other people. World Anvil has a very good community dedicated to storytelling, and some of them are DMs. They can teach you quite a lot about DMing and how to optimize World Anvil in general. Making new friends is optimal. I highly recommend checking out World Anvil. Use the code PACK at the checkout and you'll get a 40% off any yearly subscription. Back to the video. That was all the spells. Now the video really begins. Cartomancer, a new feat. You need to be 4th level to pick it, and you need a spellcasting feature. This is what it says. You have learned to channel your magic through a deck of cards. You can use a card deck as a spellcasting focus, and you gain the following benefits. Card tricks. You learn the Prestidigitation cantrip, and you can create illusions that duplicate the effects of stage magic. When you use the cantrip in this way, I'm not saying the name of the cantrip again, you can conceal the verbal and somatic components of the spell as ordinary conversation and card handling. Quick side note, you can probably make some money with this by tricking people, but other than that, this is just a fun little ribbon. Now we get into the real feats. Hidden Ace. When you finish a long rest, you can choose one spell from your class's spell list and imbue that spell into a card. The chosen spell must have a casting time of 1 action, and it must be a level for which you have spell slots. The card remains imbued with the spell for 8 hours. While the card is imbued with the spell, you can use a bonus action to flourish the card and cast the spell within. The card then immediately loses its magic. I think this is a really cool feat in general, but does literally anyone get what Hidden Ace does on the first reading? In the UA version like a year ago, I remember I complained about how this was badly written. They sadly didn't improve this on release. So let me explain the way I interpret the feats. You choose one spell with a casting time of 1 action on one of your spell lists after a long rest. Within 8 hours, you have the option to cast this spell as a bonus action instead of an action. This means you can then cast a cantrip or, for example, dodge as an action. The as a bonus action part is not really great, and neither is it great that it still requires a spell slot. The main benefit here, before getting into the tech, is that you can choose a spell that you don't have prepared or know. So putting some utility spell might not be a bad idea. Though keep in mind, it has to be 1 action. You can't just shove in like a ritual spell in here. Overall, my opinion on this feat is it's okay. I kind of like the theme of it, but it's not great. The tech that goes into this is pretty crazy. And personally, I will not assume this for builds. And I assume that people are not going to do this. Anyways, the tech is similar to Misium Apparatus. They didn't really seem to consider multiclassing. So a level 2 wizard, level 1 bard multiclass could, for example, already put web in their card, even though they can only prepare 1st level spells. But let's take this a step further. A level 1 wizard, level 19 cleric multiclass could in theory put wish in their card, as they have 9th level spell slots, and wish is on their spell list. But Kobold! The multiclassing rules say you should treat your classes separately, as if you were single-classed. Almost. The player handbook on page 163 says, you determine what spells you know and can prepare for each class individually, as if you were a single class member of that class. Which is irrelevant in this case. If I were you guys, I would just put a restriction that it's of a level that you can prepare or know for that class. Because if you don't do that, then most builds will pick this up. if you care about optimization. Finally, the book also includes 2 backgrounds. One, the rewarded, also allows you to get either lucky, magic initiate, or skilled. The other, ruined, gives you one of alert, tough, or skilled. The requirements for these backgrounds are that you need to have had your life been upended by an event of great significance, like drawing from the deck of many things. This is total DM fiat, but they are stronger than your average background because it allows you to get a feat. But I don't know how often it will actually be available. Conclusion, I enjoy the theme of this whole book and the flavors it has, but there's nothing really good for players. There might be something special in the magic items, but I don't really cover DM Fiat stuff that often. What are your opinions about this book? And have you pulled from the deck of many things? What happened? Tell me in the comments. End the video, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.